So today we have the incredible K-Mel. What's up, Demon Massage? Amani the Barber. TT Spix, what's up? Artist Era, back at you. Yeah, so today we have the great dancer, the legendary, iconic B-boy. Just a little, there he is. I'm gonna get him on right now. Thanks, Miles. Yeah, it was fun. What's up, K-Mel?
What's up, dog?
How you doing, sir?
You know me, same shit, different stories.
Yo, where are you right now?
Oh, I'm in LA now. Sorry about
Okay,
last week too. I got the times mixed up.
that's okay. So it happens in a time when nobody knows the time. Sunday through Monday is a blur. It's just a day. There's no day. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Early morning, marijuana and coffee. Two of the best
Wake it bake.
life supporters in the world.
Wake it bake, baby.
K-Mel, K-Mel, you don't know this, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with my work, with my artwork, but I've been familiar with your dance forever. You have been definitely one of the pioneers of the culture and one of my favorite dancers of the culture. And I saw you on like a VHS tape years ago. That was like the first time I saw you. It was on I think it was even, I don't know where it was, Rocksteady Park or one of those crazy tapes where I was like, this dude is dangerous and nasty, not because you are such a, well, because you are a great B-boy. You have incredible soul, incredible rhythm, incredible footwork, flavor. You dance to the beat dances to you, but you also can pop, which is kind of deadly. You're a different B-boy than 99% of B-boys because you actually dance all around and you happen to be incredibly versatile at everything. So where are you from? Are you from New York?
Yep. From well, I was born in Queens. I was born in Jamaica, Queens, 40 Projects, Jamaica Hospital. But I moved to Harlem when I was like about four, four. Then
Okay.
I moved to the Bronx when I was like about 11. So I rep the Bronx, but I was
Where'd
born.
you go to school? Where'd you go to high school?
Well, I went to Stevenson in the
Okay.
Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to crazy high schools because I was a little wild out kid when I was younger. Because my father and my father got killed like in '82, and my mom's, she got into drugs like in '83, '84. So I didn't have them to grow me up, so the streets grew me up. You know
And
what I'm
did
saying?
you where'd you go to school in What street were you living in Harlem?
115th Street, Lenox.
Lenox? Okay. I
Yeah.
know it well. I grew up a block down from Kenny.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Kenny and I come from the same block, Ken Swift. So for everybody out there who doesn't know. Yeah. I grew up a block away from Kenny and Bobito and Rocksteady Park. Essentially, that was my stomping ground. I went to PS 75, PS 87, and then I went to high school of music and performing arts when it was at 137th Street and Common Avenue. And then they moved to the new school downtown. So I'm familiar with Harlem, not as familiar with the Bronx, but I always feel like the Bronx is the ultimate New Yorker. Like I'm going to say, you're the most New York. I feel like you're from the Bronx. The second most, I could say, Manhattan, maybe tied with Brooklyn, and then I'll throw in Queens and Staten Island is last place. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I got my opinions on the boroughs too. I feel like Queens is like the most. I feel like in hip hop, the most successful people come out of Queens for some reason. Like more of them.
There's
Like,
a lot. Yeah, definitely a lot from Queens.
yeah. Then you got, I feel like Brooklyn is that same thing KRS once say. I feel like Brooklyn's always been the grimiest, that wild out state. Niggas will rob each other. Niggas got love for each other, but Brooklyn is cutthroat. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I lived in Flatbush in the '80s too. So I moved from Harlem to, from uptown New York City to Flatbush. So yes, I know what you're saying for sure.
Exactly. Then you got Harlem. Harlem is what that's why that's where I became an entrepreneur. Harlem is the moneymaker. Harlem teaches you that you can create a way to make money. There's gonna be a way. Harlem teaches you that. See, and then you got the Bronx. I feel like the Bronx is the most creative borough. That's why you got hip hop that comes from it. You got dudes get high all day, so they get creative and they in the staircase ciphering, and Bronx got this vibe of it's always been hip hop. It's always been like this hip hop vibe. No matter what, if people even hustling, they still it's a it's just got this essence of hip hop through the whole borough. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I feel like all the boroughs have something to them.
No, I think all the boroughs have something to it. But when somebody says, because here's the deal, K-Mel, and you know this more than that. And you're in LA now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where in LA are you?
North Hollywood.
Okay. So you get, like, when you say, first of all, now when you go to New York, you say, "Oh yeah, where are you from?" People are like, "Yeah, I'm from New York." I'm like, "Oh cool. Where'd you go to school?" They're like, "Well, I'm not really from New York. I'm kind of from Syracuse, or I'm from Minnesota, or then they start claiming New York. Then you get people like, from New York who are from Long Island or from what, you know what I mean? It's just you never. But then when you get someone, you go, "Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from New York." "Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from the Bronx." You're like, "Okay, yeah." You just immediately acquiesce to the realness of it. And that's, you know what I mean? Because very few people are born, raised in New York, and then you get the Bronx. It's just extra credit for, especially with hip hop. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I feel the same way too when it comes down to like just you bringing up the Bronx in the sense of I feel like if you're not well, if you're not from the Bronx and you're talking to a real Bronx cat about hip hop, I feel like you should watch what you say in that conversation.
Exactly. Exactly.
You should just have respect for if a person's from the borough where hip hop is created, you should have the utmost respect for that. You should try
Definitely.
to learn something from that instead
Yeah.
of trying to
And
teach it. You know what I'm saying?
yes, I do. And that's why you get, the true cats like, the Wiggles, the Legs. You could see the Bronx in them. You know what I mean? You see the Bronx in the movement, in the attitude, the savoir faire. But then again, you get Ken Swift, who would you consider Kenny the greatest b-boy of all time?
Um, I consider Kenny. Hmm, I don't know. I got different opinions with how I look at who's the best, but I feel like Kenny is the epitome of his era. Like I feel like every era there's something that stops the chain, and now it's moved on and the torch is passed. So I feel like I don't know for Kenny and them who did that for them. If it was Spy or if it was like what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
who was like what I'm saying, who was like who
Mm-hmm.
who were the guys to them, but now who cut off that era, going well. That's the epitome of that era. Now I feel like Kenny was the next generation of that. Then I feel like in my era, El Nino is the epitome of my era. Like that's
Mm.
just it's how I just got these ways of how I look at breaking. You know what I'm saying? And what people where they come from. So yeah, when you talk about Kenny, I feel like Kenny's the epitome. But the person I feel like the best b-boy in the world to me of all times was definitely Float. Float from
Yep.
Incredible Workers. Float to me.
Shout, quick shout out to Why Not and Machine who are watching right now and saying what's up. Both,
Machine and Wadizi.
I mean, both incredible right there.
Hell yeah.
Um, so a lot of my fans don't know anybody, but it's important to check these people out. Float, Kenny, Why Not Machine, and especially K-Mel. How old were you when you started dancing, and why? were people like me, so enamored with people like with you, not people like you, but you, because like I said, when I saw you early on, um, and I was dancing in the 80s, I was touring in the 80s, and when I came back, I'd seen the VHS tapes of you, and I couldn't believe the magnificent flow. Where did you get your skill set? Why were you so different than everybody? Besides the fact that you were breaking and popping and so musical and from the Bronx and Harlem. I mean, I guess it's a perfect storm.
We know what it was. Like, all right, it comes from first and foremost. I used to, if you'd ask me when I was younger, now you could ask kids, hey, which one of you would grow up? And some kids would probably say firemen or policemen or whatever they would say. But I knew from if you'd asked me when I was 4 years old what I was going to be, I would have told you a dancer for sure. I always thought I was going to be a dancer. That was number one. And then number two is breaking. Breaking wasn't the first. Breaking wasn't my first thing I thought I could do. I thought breaking was actually too hard for me. If it wasn't for, yeah, honestly, if it wasn't for Easy Rock, and that's my pride, if it wasn't for Easy Rock in that 94 Rock Steady, and see, and it was a Rock Steady reunion too. But I really thought in my head, if this white guy can break with one hand, I'm black. Yeah, I'm black. I definitely can break with two hands. So
Yeah.
he gave me, I swear to God, he gave me the click in my head of thinking, oh, I can fucking break. I know I can break. Because before I thought it was too hard. So that's what
So
I'm saying.
you were popping before breaking.
Yeah. I was a boogie. Like I boogied. See, with hitters in the 80s, Flow Committee, Breeze Team, TDK, like the groups that I grew up from, they were all boogiers. It was only a couple of breakers around us, like Eddie Ed, J-Day, Paul Wayne, Doug, Quick Step. That was really the only breakers that was street performing, that was hitting on the streets.
Mm.
Everybody else was poppers. We were poppers first. All of us was boogiers.
And this is in the
We
Bronx. This is in the Bronx,
like no Harlem. Like see,
in Harlem.
when I first started going downtown,
And
I
how
lived in
old are you?
Harlem.
Hold on. How old are you? Because I want to contextualize your age in the time of the year where you were from.
Okay, well, basically in 86, I was in Harlem. That's when I started. That's when I discovered street dancing. So I started street performing like around 87, 88, 89, like in that time. So I was
Yeah.
probably like about 7 years old, 6 years old when I first started
And did
street
you hear?
performing.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Mailbox?
Mailbox.
Because when I was popping, just to interject, when I was popping, I was dancing with a guy named Mechanical Puppet, and there was a dude named Mailbox that danced at my school, and he was in my crew. And Mailbox was a Bronx legend at the time. Now I'm older than you,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a different time, but there were some serious poppers that went under the radar that will probably never be known because there's no iPhone, so no one caught any of these people.
Mm-hmm.
But Mailbox had crazy flavor and just a weird New York City sensibility of popping. And he was a psychotic battler. And I used to go around the city with him and
Oh,
Mechanical Puppet, who was from Los Angeles.
yeah, keep going.
So it was a lot of just a lot of crazy people who were super duper dope.
Why you coming here? I'm having an interview. You know the bathroom right there? Oh, somebody in the bathroom? Hey, sorry about
That's okay. It keeps it very real. The interview feels more authentic. Keep going.
that. Yeah. Nigga just
Okay,
walked in.
you're 7 years old. Uh, you're 7 years old. You're who's your favorite popper at that time? Then who's your influence? Because you're dancing in Harlem. Is it Wiggles? I mean, who are you seeing? Is it Normski? Is it who is it?
No, see, with me being a street, like me being from the streets, like with it, all my dudes was with street dudes like,
Like John?
yes, Floatmaster John, Clown.
Floatmaster John. Can you talk about Floatmaster John to people? Because people don't know. I remember John forever. That dude had the sickest floats in the history of the world.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. When it comes down to street legends and street performers, Floatmaster John and Clown is like considered probably the first hitters.
Yeah.
They're the like they're like my dude Universal from Flow Committee. But Flowmaster John is the first hitter, like the real first hitter. He was so sick, he was the first person that could hit by himself. You see what
And
I'm
he
saying?
he had like a thousand different floats.
Exactly. See,
Every
so
time I saw him, I was like, I didn't even know the feet could do that. And he would just be doing some weird on the side of his foot float, on 57th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. I just run into him everywhere across the city. He was a street hustler making money.
no, you're right. Flow, like let me tell you, Flowmaster John was and still is. He's still like that. He's one of the best street performers ever, and he's one of the first. So he's the first generation of street performers. See, so when you say like the entertainment part of me from dancing, it comes
Mm.
from that. See, I was a street performer before I was a b-boy.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I seen Floatmaster John, uh, TDK, Clown, Tron,
Tron. Woo.
Floatmaster, Toby, Pepper Steak. See, that's what I'm saying. Nice from the Bronx, J-Day. See, it was so many street performers that was so dope and boogieing that I really wasn't on the industry part of who was nice in the industry. I was really on the people that was nice around me was from the streets.
See, and that's an interesting thing because you are very New York like myself because you say boogieing. And as you know, nobody out here calls popping boogieing. They call it popping. They call it whatever dancing. But we in New York used to call it electric boogie. That was normal for us. To be like, yo, man, this dude's boogieing down there and we're going to have to battle him. But no one says that here. And if you say it here in California, the West Coast, it's frowned upon. It's a weird thing to say boogie. But I first of all, I love the word because it's very New York. And boogiers in New York City, even though we know that it originated in California, boogiers had their own special sauce that we added to it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that was comedy, New York City energy, and insanity. There was an insanity and a funniness about New York City. We added the poetry of New York City to the dance.
See, I'm glad you even noticed I was saying that because to me that's a part of New York history. What keeps New York separate from the style of how we boogie than how LA pop. See,
Mm-hmm.
like when like you said, when people started frowning apart, oh, we ain't boogiers, we poppers, and then there ain't no such thing as pop locking. And then you got people that's like, no, we can call ourselves pop lockers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
basically, it comes down to the point of this. If you really know the eras, I feel like that's what makes us have our way of what popping was to us. It's
Mm-hmm.
called popping, of course. If the creators say that's what it's called, then that's what it's called. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But
Yeah.
when it comes down to what I learned and how I boogied,
Mm-hmm.
that's what made it different from us being boogiers and people being poppers. A boogier was more of mad fast, hand movements, waves. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that structure of boogaloo. It wasn't that, you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Not
It
at
wasn't none
all.
of that. It was moves, it was our creativity. So basically, and it was gliding, floating. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
Waves, tuts, ticking, animation. You see what I'm saying? So boogieing to me was like what New Yorkers did. It was the style of New Yorkers and how they boogied.
Yeah.
You see
And
what I'm
we
saying?
and we grabbed. You know. I mean. I think the history is that we grabbed the basics, the fundamentals from people like Pop and Pete and Taco and, you know, Shrimp and all those people. And then we just, you know, New York City did their own thing to it. That's what happened. You know, this was the take that we saw, and we blended it with the culture. And I think that's pretty much what happened. And did you know Leon and Dion?
Leon and Dion.
How about Boogie George? Puerto Rican Boogie George. There's a lot of different. There's probably a million poppers in the day. Obviously, Fable, you know, and Wiggles, you know that those guys were classic. Wiggles still is.
You see what we're saying? I feel like one thing about New Yorkers in the era that, you know, that we come from, we really try to research. That's why we learned so much about other dance and what the dance is called and respect. Okay, well, if this is what it is, this is what they're saying, boom. Like even like a person like Wiggles is the perfect example. Wiggles, to me, always was a pop or boogie or whatever he wants to call himself because Wiggles is that sick. In Fable. But see, when I used to see Wiggles and Fable pop, it was like they were boogiers. They were New York. They were some of the New York greatest boogiers. But you see, once they're such students of the game that once it was time for them to learn this dance the right way from the people that was the creators, the names of how the dances go, the form of it, they went and they learned from the best that done it. They went and got down with the crews. Wiggles is actually a boogaloo now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Too. You know what I'm saying? See, so
but
to me,
but
that's
but no, I hear you, and I have to interject this because when Wiggles was being the Boogaloo because he was with Sugar Pop and
mm-hmm.
Popping Pete and uh, the Boogaloos, who were absolutely incredible in their own ways. To me, what I missed the most was that New York City Wiggles energy, because to me, Wiggles was like the quintessential Puerto Rican from the Bronx. He had a like I said, little Puerto Rican. You can't you know you can't take that out when all of a sudden you're boogalooing. You're going like to Fresno or California, and it's like, well, what happened? You just stopped. You don't have an accent anymore. You don't have that kind of like je ne sais, fuck you that the Bronx motherfuckers have, and as he got older, he started to incorporate it back, and that's what I love so much about it. It was that ill, like top rock flavor that he added with his uh, excellence. Shout out to Twitch. What's up, Twitch? Um,
What's the dilly? Twitch. What's the dilly?
so you know, I feel like with Wiggles when he brought back the special Bronx sauce into his dance, then he was able to be because he went in, he learned where it came from, but then added the New York shit. And you know, people want to bury the word boogie. Don't bury the word boogie because boogie is the culture that's so important. You know, and people were like, "Oh, you can't say boogie. It's boogaloo or it's popping." And I don't like that. I feel like that's important now in this place of history to call it what it really was because there was a lot of incredible boogiers. I said it.
No, you're right.
So,
See what you. I feel like that's a New York. That's a part of New York history. Like honestly, that's a part of New York history in the sense of that's why that word really can't go nowhere with me. Because if we talk about a subject like this, I feel like that's what happens. It's like boogieing comes from New York, and it's a style, and it's a style that Wiggles and people like Nice and people like Flowmaster John and Clown. This is the style that they mastered. You see what I'm saying? They
yeah.
mastered the boogieing style of New York. So to me, there is a such thing as what boogieing is. But just like an artist, I always compare this, and I'm glad me and you on the phone. I used to always tell people the reason why I try not to dance the same or do the same throwdowns to different music because I used to compare that with an artist. I go, does an artist paint the same picture? Does an artist when they go and paint or put something on the canvas, do they paint the same picture? So why would a b-boy go do the same exact moves to a different beat? So I always seen it like that. I've always seen it like that. I've never seen an artist, even if they could, I've never seen an artist just paint the same thing over.
Mm.
So I would feel like that with Wiggles too. I feel like with dance we grow. So whatever style we had when we first was repping, that was our style when we first was repping. That was our years. But once we grow as a dancer, there's no way we go back. There's no way we
Mhm.
want to go back to the same.
Well, yeah, and
You know what
that's
I'm
why
saying?
it's so hard for singers to go and they're like, play the classics, and they're like, no, I want to play my new shit, and they're like, no, we want to hear the classics. So you understand the point of view of the performers who do the same fucking song over and over again, and the audience wants to hear that because that's what hits them in that nostalgia heart, chakra. But the artist doesn't want to do it anymore because they're like, no, I moved on to this, and people are like, but I don't want this, and that's the same with dance. It's the same with art. It's the same with everything. When people are like, well, do something like your DJ. It's like, I did the DJ. I'm done with the painting of the DJ. I'm moving on to BUA 2.0, BUA 3.0, BUA now. And I can see that's the same with everything.
Yep.
So when so you were popping in New York City, dancing around the city, and then you saw Easy Rock in '94, and you said, well, if this white guy could do it with one hand, this black dude could do it with two hands. And you hit, um, how how long did it take you to get great? When did you know, like, I'm great now? Was it through the hardship of battles, or I mean, because that's what it is, right? Iron sharpens iron. In New York City, especially the way you came up, there was so many battles. There was so much street realness. There was so much, just so much. Like, it must have sharpened you to where you were just nasty.
No, you know what it was? I ain't gonna hold you up. It was like this. I feel like this. We're coming from New York with so many people being so great. Because there's just so many great people from New York and people that created so much from New York.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like being a New Yorker, you got to automatically have the attitude of that you're great from your work ethic. You
Yep.
know, you know that the time that you'll put into something once you figure out that you love it. So I feel like with dance, I told you I could have told you at 4 years old I was going to be a dancer. See what I'm saying? So it wasn't surprising to me
Mm-hmm.
with me getting better at dance because I always thought that's what I was going to be. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like what made me feel great was that I had a mentality of I would put my skills on the line and battle someone that I knew was better than me
Mm-hmm.
just for the battle. Because my mind was like, this should have probably never happened again. Me and him in this area, in this place, in this time. And if I don't call him out, or if we don't get busy, it'll probably never happen again. And now that I look at me being 40, it would have never happened if I didn't do it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The shit that I've done with battling and how I represent it, it would have never happened if I didn't do it. And then once I stopped, the game completely changed. And it ain't me being cocky or me being like, oh, well, it's because of me. Because no, I know it was a part of the game that when I had my little boogie brats and my crew, we still was battling. We still was showing up at jams, still battling dudes. And you could tell no one else was doing that. It was you could tell that the game was changing into a competition thing. It would come to an arena and competitions and that's cool. You feel what I'm saying? But I started to realize, oh shit, our era is about to be gone. This shit's about to change into something else. You know
And
what I'm saying?
and now that it has changed into something else, can you first tell me who your favorite b-boys are today? Who are your favorite dancers today? Just throw in dancers, not just b-boys.
Uh, favorite dancers today. Um, I'm
And you have
bad.
to exclude Why Not, Twitch, and Machine because they're all watching right now. So just we already know that they're part of your favorites. But who else?
No, you know what it is? It's like when I think about my favorites now, I I'm bad with names. Like I'm bad with names. It's like it's this little kid. It's these little two kids from Russia that I think is fucking unreal. I think they're like on the b-boy tip. I think they're so bananas. And then there's this kid from I think Japan named Sugar Kicks. I think he's one of the best in the world. Like how
Mm.
Sugar Kicks break, how he moves, like his mind frame, the control he has with his shit. He's one of the best breakers I've ever seen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Damn.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to look him up because I never heard of him. Someone
I'm
said Lay Twins. What do you think of Lay Twins?
I think they're incredible. Like in sense of, I think they're superstars. I think there's no more superstar dancers, and I think they are. I think,
Yeah.
I think they're from the Fred Astaire's and Gregory Hines. If you look at the dancers back in that era, they
Mm-hmm.
were so um, famous, so infamous, so like they were actors, singers, dancers. They wasn't just dancers. They were
Mm-hmm.
fucking in movies and the stars of these movies. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah, Gene Kelly. These
yes,
are Fred Astaire, like you said. Uh,
uh, fucking Nicholas Brothers.
Nicholas. Well, let's just stop with the Nicholas brothers and just talk about the fact that they probably are two of the greatest dancers that people should know about if they don't, because they're ridiculous.
They're my two. When you say favorite dancers, probably ever,
Yeah.
they're my favorite dancers ever. Then you got Michael Jackson. That as an artist, I just like how he moved, how
Mm,
Mike moved in his spirit. To
mm.
me, he's one of the greatest dancers I've ever seen. You see what I'm saying? So
No, for sure.
now, when you talk about like the Les Twins, to me, I think they're amazing. I just think, with the Les Twins, what dances they doing? You see, see with me,
They're kind of doing their own thing at this point.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like this with dance.
Mm.
The same thing they say with what separates you from people from the animals is the same thing with dance to me. What separates dance from dancing is identification. I know what ballet is. I know what tap is. You see, because it
Mm-hmm.
clearly is a different dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about breaking. That no matter what, being a b-boy, being a b-girl, and being a breaker, we actually have our own dance. We have our own dance. It's identifiable. It's not, well, what are they doing? What are they mixing it with this? Are they mixing that with this and that and that? So understand that with a b-boy, or understand that for if b-boys that's watching this, or whatever, what dancers that's watching this, understand that b-boying and b-girling it's a part of a culture that, first of all, our dance is the first battle dance. There's no other battle dance. Every other dance took the theme of battling from b-boying. Our dance is actually a battle dance. See, when you see other dance, if you see a ballet trying to battle another ballet, it won't look like a battle, no matter what. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you see a b-boy break against a b-boy, it looks like a battle, because that's what the fuck it is. Our dance is a battle.
Yeah, and I think that also boogieing, popping, whatever you want to call it, and breaking have integrated themselves, unlike other dances, into every dance. So when you see anything from cheerleading to gymnastics to house to freestyle to anything, to look at Lay Twins, they've cultivated their own style, but they've integrated popping and integrated breaking. So every single person has drawn from those two movements, which there are pure sources, there are pure dances in that movement, but everyone has taken it. And that is very different, I believe. Not everybody is integrating ballet, not everybody is integrating tap, but everybody is integrating b-boying and popping into their dance, whether they like to believe it or not. That's a fact. You watch any of these shows, World of Dance, So You Think You Can Dance, any TV dance show, anything now, you see an integer of these other dances in the dance. They've incorporated it. Some have appropriated it, some have co-opted it, but no matter what, it has been integrated into the dance. It's just a fact. And the kids now might not even know that because they're just doing moves that came from like, 1974 from the Bronx that Spy developed or whatever. They don't even know where the origins are. But rest it, you best believe that it does come from either breaking or popping.
And that's funny that you say that because yeah, if you look at our dances, we only take things from. I think breaking's only took things from like martial arts and karate dudes and like kung fu flicks.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to b-boying, we never look at no other dance, and we don't even want things from another dance. When
Mm.
you talk about a ballet person spinning on their toes, and you talk about a b-boy spinning on his hand,
Mm.
spinning on his head, spinning on his shoulder. You see what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
b-boys is so creative with their mind frame. That's why with the level that breaking is now, I never thought it was going to be. Like with what my mind see is breaking, I never thought it was going to be the level that it is now.
Because it's just so advanced, you mean, right?
Not really advanced. It's more of like it's too hard. It's too athletic.
Uh,
It's too athletic. It's too hard to do now. The shit that I see people doing is way too hard to do. You
but
see what I'm saying?
they're doing it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I
And
make
they're really fucking young. You know what I
exactly,
mean?
exactly. So that's what it is. So, when it comes down to that, I feel like, when people say, yo, you want to take something to the next level, I don't feel you can take anything to the next level without having the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. You can't take something to the next level without having all the levels. So I feel like breaking is to a next level, but there's only some breakers out there
Mm.
that's taking it to the next level.
So tell
Like
me who those people are.
I would say Vicious Victor. I would say Vicious, from Canada. I would say dude from Top Nine, Robin. I would say uh um I don't want to miss nobody that got that oomph. See why not's one of them, but why not?
I would say Machine is because he takes
Yes,
the
Machine is
Machine is
definitely one of them.
early. You see the early stuff. I mean, now look, Machine's is a kind of an anomaly because he's 38 and he's still so explosive.
That's what I'm saying. But see,
He's not 17 like a lot of these kids.
you know what it is, but Machine is from our time. See, like
Yeah.
he gets a pass to being. I feel like if you're in our era, and it's that certain era, you don't have to. You already signified. You stamped. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? So Machine and Why Not of them, they're more stamped to me, like Phantom. Phantom is the best b-boy in the world, if you ask me. Like how Phantom thinks with b-boying, him being from the Bronx, him knowing how to rock, him knowing how to dance, him knowing
Mm.
how to the essence of b-boying. See, he's like a Ken Swift to me, if you ask me. Of my era, Phantom is like a Ken Swift of our era. He's that mod. He's that crazy. And I
Mm.
don't know if people see shit like that. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
Dito's rocks. He already mentioned El Nino. You were
Oh,
talking about El
El
Nino.
Nino, I told you, El Nino's the epitome. See that? He stops. When I talk about me, Phantom, El Nino, Machine, why not, all that. That's what I'm telling you. El Nino stops all that. He stops our era. There ain't going to be nobody after El Nino that comes from our era in our box. That's it. Now now it's going to be who's the next one? Who's the next person now? You
Yeah,
know?
it's such an evolved movement with so many people who are so freaking good. And like getting back to you and what your dance is, you always had such beautiful flow, and just I don't know. To me, you were always the quintessential b-boy, And in a battle, like I said, you would hit the floor, and then let's say you were just in a battle, and they would hit the floor. Next thing you know, you're popping, how are people? How is a b-boy relating to that? If you come out to do a set, because you know, I had in my era, I remember battling a kid in the Douglas projects, and we were both popping. And then he started coming out the next round, and he started doing like incredible footwork and backspin to windmill. And I was like, shit, I got nothing for him. I just kind of was like, I just kind of, you know, went with my tail between my legs and walked back to the corner with my friend Ty Fly. And I was like, I just got toasted. Did you do that? That's very dirty, by the way, if you did. I just want to point that out. Like, were you doing b-boying and popping during a b-boy battle?
No, see, it's like this. I feel like this with a battle. You only win a battle by actually bringing someone into your world. I feel like you're gonna lose if that person can bring you into their world. Like that's a perfect example. You
Yeah.
see how y'all both was popping, and then
Yeah.
he went down and broke. He went down and break. See,
Right.
so
But
if
he did a little wave to break too, to make it feel like he was no, I'm just popping. All of a sudden it's like boom, he's breaking. I was
oh
like, what
no,
the
see,
fuck?
see what he did was he tried to bring you to his world. He already
Right.
seen in his mind, oh, this popping shit is over with. Now, let me beat him in this battle.
Yes.
See, he pulled the chess move. Let
Yeah.
me beat him in this battle and bring it to the floor
Mm-hmm.
because I probably break better than I do my up top shit. This is probably my better suit. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And now look, you couldn't go down to that suit. You
No,
see what I'm
not at
saying?
his level. No.
Exactly. So now when I talk about a battle, it's like this. Music moves me. So basically, if I'm battling a dude and a pops up something that comes on that makes me feel like I want to pop,
Mm.
that's why I'm gonna go out and pop. Not because of me trying to switch the battle to winning them. It's more of because of my nigga, you hear what we dancing to? I'm not gonna
Mm.
go, I'm not breaking to this song. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Or the
Yeah, of
break ain't
course.
even on.
You're not
You
going to
see
hear
what I'm
Tour
saying?
de France and go hit the floor. You're not going to hear
Exactly.
Planet Rock. You're going to pop. That's part of the
Exactly.
song that they put on. So you have to do it. It's your duty as a dancer.
Exactly. So the most see to me, I never wanted to be a b-boy. That changed later on in life, but I've always wanted to be the best dancer. So even when I battled people, I tried to beat them with dance. I tried to beat them with going to the beat. I didn't try to beat people with moves and I try to do moves and shit onto the beat
Mm.
to kill you. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
the beat was everything to me. If I fell into the beat, that's what would probably make me win the battle because now I'm gonna make people go, "Oh shit, he can't go to the music like him." You
Mm-hmm.
see? So that's me bringing you into my world. That's usually how I won battles. Is by trying to bring dudes into my world.
Well, you know, what are you doing today? Obviously now, quarantine, smoking a blunt, not literally, but what is your next? What is the evolution of K-Mel in 2020? Are you going to be just dancing? And how long do you see that going? Because as we see, dancing has a seems to have a shelf life, especially breaking. So people very rarely, in other words, do you get somebody like Wiggles. You know, Wiggles is still dancing around the world, but I feel like popping, your body holds up. Then you get people like Legs who have kind of moved to a more obviously, I'm not going to dance as much, but I'm going to be the ambassador of the culture. What is the 2020 and going forward, K-Mel? And I know you're never going to stop. Machine says he will never stop. Not saying you're ever going to stop, but is there an evolution that you will perhaps metamorphosize or take another artery to a different path?
Well, it's like this. You know, the word b-boy is exactly what the word is. It's it's for the boys. That's why the kids is nicer now. That's why they're getting younger and they're better.
Mm-hmm.
That's why their bodies can actually hold up with what they're doing. It's called b-boy. It's called b-girl. It
Yeah,
ain't called b-man. It
yeah.
ain't called, you know what I'm saying? So it's like this.
like watching the Beastie Boys and going like, yeah, they're kind of Beastie Men now. They're not really Beastie
See,
Boys.
that's what I'm saying.
It feels weird. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. You see how they could go up there. Word. I just was watching they joint the other day. I ain't finished watching it, but I was watching it, some of it, and yeah, it was really dope. Is because to see them up there talking about, what they brought to the culture, the humbleness of everything they remembered and even having it documented, having the footage of it, them being able to say their own story is so dope. It's because it just shows you that, my dude, I'm 40 years old with 2 kids that I'm not even blessed to be in their lives because I'm not good with the baby mothers. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want that blessing that Legs and Wiggles and them got with. They grew up their families, Kid, Legs' son is in college and graduated college and stuff. And I want to be that family, man. I want to walk down the aisle or something. I want to go by the crib with my lady and grow my kids up and shit like that. I want my passive income to be through real estate and
So you want to slowly and elegantly perhaps step out of the culture and not.
it's what it is. It's not even about the culture. It's more about you have quarters of your life. You got the first quarter, second quarter, you're in halftime. I would feel like this is in halftime now.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the third quarter, fourth quarter, then you got overtime, and then you out of time. You feel
That's
me?
good. I like that.
Yeah, so basically it's like if you look at your life like at these quarters, what is my quarter now? My quarter
Yeah.
now is my success, my wealth, what I want to me getting in my kids' life and being stable to be in their lives and get good with my baby mothers so I can actually that my kids don't grow up without me.
How
Without
many kids do you have, K-Mel?
2.
2 kids. Okay.
One's 4 and one's 2. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Like me having a companion, someone I could actually kick it with, talk to, build business with. You see what I'm saying? Like my credit, my business credit, my insurance, my 401k, my IRA, my whole life insurance. See, that shit is more important to me now. Like even when I talk to people now, people that I know are successful that could help me with this journey of, what I'm doing now. They still want to talk about breaking this shit. And it's like, my dude,
Yeah.
that's my life. That's not,
Yeah.
I don't see that as ever stopping or ever starting or ever, it's just my life. If I hear music and I want to break, I'm going to break. If I fucking want to throw down in my crib with some nice music, if I got the space to do it and I got the music that make me move, I'm just going to probably start filming right then and there. I'm going to break. I'm going to probably dance. I'm going to probably pop. I'm going to do what the music tells me. I'm a dancer. I love dancing.
Yeah.
I don't want dance to only be my living. For my whole life, I've been blessed to understand how to make money through what I love. But see, now with something like this COVID, stay in your house, stay home, don't go outside, don't do all this. You realize what's most important, the best thing you could have right now is someone to actually be home with. You have your kids, now you have to homeschool them and really see what they're learning and teach them. You see, it's like, to me, the most important things in life is important right now. And some people they tired of their kids being home. They want them to go back to school. They want to get their kids off to other people. They don't want to homeschool them. They don't want to be home with their family. It's more probably domestic violence cases. It's probably more pedophile cases because the people are home. You see what I'm saying? Because I feel like people take
Well, what I'm extracting from what you're saying is so beautiful, because what you're really saying is this is a good time to self-reflect, a good time to actually spend time with your kids, and a good time to actually get to know them for who they are. Because in life, whether you're traveling the world, breaking around the planet, or whether you're off to your 9-to-5 job, you're not really tuning in to what's really going on. And what a wonderful opportunity to be able to just kind of dial into the mindset and to be real. That was yes. Scotsman said that's some deep, real, honest preaching shit right there. And it really is, because Scotsman, by the way, from Scotland, a big fan who tunes into every episode here, Why Not says 100%. Everybody knows that was really heartfelt. And I appreciate you being very honest about that. I
Yeah,
just also really appreciate, and I think everybody does, if you don't know K-Mel, just from me, I've actually never met you, which is really weird because I've met so many people in the culture over the years, and we're both from New York City. And I'm such a huge fan of your dance. I've always found you to be one of the most authentic, real New York City, and nasty, not in a bad way, but in a, I can't believe how good the flow is way, where I was just always like, oh my God. You know, and I've told that to all my friends, from Flowmaster to Kenny to Legs to Wiggles, like, damn, just K-Mel guy. He's just so, you are kind of the quintessential New Yorker too. Like, you don't even need to know, like, where are you from? Yeah, of course I'm going to ask you where you're from. I'm interviewing you. But the reality is, I could see where you're from. It's in your footstep. You know what I mean? It's in every single poetic move that you make. It's embedded in your DNA, and it comes out in your dance. And it's so nice to see that. And I'll equate it to Wiggles. When I see Wiggles in his prime of when he was being the quintessential boogie boy, I could see just New York flowing through it. Just like Kenny, I see New York. Man, do I see New York in Kenny. Oh my God. Just so much juicy New York shit. And, you know, like, you can equate it to anything. Just like Spike Lee, you feel Brooklyn in his films. You feel Manhattan in Woody Allen's movies, whether it's Annie Hall or Manhattan or, you know, anything. It's just like there's certain filmmakers, Martin Scorsese. You feel New York in Mean Streets, in Taxi Driver, you know, in Raging Bull, in Goodfellas, in, you know, it's just you do. And you see, to me, New York in K-Mel. You are almost the quintessential New York dancer. In fact, if people don't know your work, it's really sad because you're so a part of history, that it's that you are. I feel like I am in my painting. Like, my painting is New York City, and it's my childhood experiences growing up in New York. If you know my artwork, you understand. You don't even have to ask where I'm from. You know where I'm from. Didn't you see the painting? I'm from New York, motherfucker. And that's what you are. You are kind of like, there's like a cube, and there's like Martin Scorsese for the film, there's Spike Lee for the film, there's K-Mel for the dance, there's BUA for the art, there's Wiggles for the popping, you know. And it's just like, that's the cube of New York City. And I feel like we're on the same cube, even though we've never even seen each other. You know what I mean?
That's fucking dope, though. And thank you,
And
bro.
I'm not even high, by the way. I'm just analyzing that from a very, well, I am high on coffee, the most legal drug in the world.
I want to thank you too, bro. Just, thank you for, like, appreciating me, and thank you for, just acknowledging, because, I'm not really a person like, I want to do blogs. I want to, start teaching. I want to start, talking more about different subjects. I want to invest with people. I want to talk to people about their lives, and what can make them more successful, with stuff that you probably couldn't learn in school that I just learned a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to talk about things like that. So when it comes down to like, you appreciate me like this, bro, I really appreciate it, because I'm not a person that really, I I want to do I want people to know who I really am, in the sense of where I come from, what I've done, and but I'm not a person that would really do that shit myself, because to me it's like,
Yeah, well, and most dancers are not good marketers, and they're not publicists. They're not people who are like, great with technology, because you've cultivated a different kind of energy. But it's like when I was young, I was able to, well, I was younger, I was really able to spend so much time watching you dance, which is a really weird, funny, crazy thing, right? It's like bizarre. And now, it's just fascinating to see that like guys like you and Kenny have wound up, and me are all in Los Angeles, by the way. How ironic! How ironic is all of that?
In LA, in La La Land.
The quintessential New Yorkers all wound up in Los Angeles because we will never shed that. You know what I mean? We're never going to be like real Californians because New York is just going to live in our blood.
Yeah, I love Cali. I love the weather. I love this is when I go back to New York, it's like this for me. I feel like there's a success barrier for me going back to my hoods. When I'm in my hoods and I'm in my projects, I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, some of my people ain't go nowhere. Some of them still are there. Some of them took over their mother's cribs in that project. You know what I'm saying? So, and when I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, I didn't go nowhere either. If I'm sitting here right now, watching all of them, yeah, I've been through everywhere, but I look at where I'm at right now and what I want. See, so a person like me going back to New York, my success has to be fully for me to feel comfortable in my city. It's my city. You know what I'm saying? I can't feel comfortable when I'm back in the projects. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm back in the hood. That's not comfortability for me. It's like, where do I sleep? Where do I lay? Where do I pray? Where do I rest my head if I stay in New York?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
it's
what I
not
mean?
where it's it's not where you're from. It's where you're at, and it seems like
Exactly.
you're in a really good mental place to kind of take off to the next direction and to the next evolution of K-Mel. So, bro, thank you so much for coming on. Let's exchange numbers in the DM, and
Let's keep
get.
linking. You out here? We out here, right? We in LA.
I'm out here. I'm out here. I'm going to go on an incredible walk and breathe some incredible air and get some vitamin D3 all over my body. It's
Right.
going to be the best ever. And I'm going to probably drink another cup of coffee, to be honest.
And you
And
gonna
then I'm
give
going
me
to do some top rocking, just to kind of move my body and maybe watch some K-Mel videos. You never know.
then
I need to get inspired.
you gonna get me put down with Rocksteady too. Ha!
Yeah. Wait, you're not in Rocksteady?
No, this nigga legs
How are you not in Rocksteady and I'm in
because
Rocksteady? That makes
because
zero sense.
because I'm black. Legs.
Yeah. Legs. It's the Puerto Rican racism in us. It's too much. I'll talk. Hey, listen, K-Mel, I'll put
Talk to
in a
legs.
good word for you.
Please. Tell legs. Tell legs I want to be the new Frosty Freeze that's down.
Oh, Frosty Freeze. Fucking love Frosty Freeze.
Frosty,
Nasty.
dog.
Ah, God damn. All right, brother. Have the
Hey,
best day ever, bro.
one love, bro. Thank you.
Peace. Thank you, everybody. Rage Against the Brush. Tomorrow, see you at 10:30. Bye-bye.
Peace.